From missing out on the hottest player of this year's draft to having a history of making terrible decisions for his team, here's how Michael Jordan lost $500 million in 3 seconds. The basketball legend might be awesome at everything he does, but when it comes to team management, that's hardly his style. Even though he's been trying since before 2010, he just can't seem to get things right. But did you know the team almost had a way out of this year's long dry spell? You heard me. They almost finally had a player with the ability to lead them to a win. That's right, I'm talking about Victor Wembanyama. This 19-year-old has everything the team could want. More on that later. But sadly, things didn't work out for Jordan's Charlotte Hornets. Instead, it's the San Antonio Spurs who'll get to choose the number 1 pick, and it's clear that the team will never pick anyone but Victor. Tough luck for the Hornets. And yeah, I get it, they did get the 2nd pick, but will it be enough to bring them out of their slump? Now, if you're wondering how missing out on a player cost them $500 million, then it's simple math. It's a known fact that the player would have brought huge value to the team, and I'm not only talking about his talent. Oh no. Did you know that with Wembanyama on board, the team would have seen a rise of $500 million? That's quite a sum, I know. Currently, the team is valued at a whopping $1.7 billion. Sounds pretty good, considering that Jordan paid around $275 million to buy a majority stake back in 2010. But if you look at the numbers overall, they're the 27th most valuable NBA franchise out of the 30 teams. And hold on, it gets worse. The least valued team currently is the New Orleans Pelicans, and their worth stands at an estimated $1.6 billion. Not much of a difference now, is there? Chances are MJ was relying on getting Wembanyama on his team in hopes of jacking up the value, and maybe earn a bit more money when he sells the team. Because if there's one thing I can tell for sure, it's that the poor man's just done. Managing his own team has been no walk in the park, and if Michael the legendary Jordan couldn't figure it out, then there's something wrong over here. The NBA icon won 6 championships in his time. Apart from that, his really smart business decisions also made him the first NBA player to become a billionaire. Right now, his net worth stands at a shocking $2.2 billion. So yeah, the guy knows what he's doing. But with the Hornets, he was simply lost. Maybe this sudden drop was because managing a team is more than just playing ball. You've got to deal with politics and a lot of other messy things too. So basically, it's a full-time job, something MJ really doesn't have time for. Recently, there was even more discussion about how Michael actually just wanted to jump ship. It was said that he knew the Hornets weren't getting anywhere, so it would be better to just get rid of them, or at least get rid of his majority stake and maybe keep the minor one. But as of right now, the talks about selling have come to a halt. It kinda looks like he's stuck with the team, at least for a while now. Of course, with Wembanyama's contract, he could have made a substantial profit. Don't worry, I've done the math for you. If Jordan was planning on selling the Hornets with Wembanyama on the roster, he would have made an easy $278 million. Speaking of the player, great things are expected of him. Those of you thinking that the $500 million value boost is some sort of exaggeration, well, that's not the case at all. ESPN regarding the French star as the singular greatest prospect in NBA draft history in history. You've got that part right. It was also said he's so advanced skill-wise that nobody has ever seen anyone like him. Now, if things go according to plan, he might be the next Michael Jordan, and it would have been a really satisfying full circle moment to have Wembanyama be mentored by the NBA's greatest player ever. Coming to his skills, the French player is currently with the Metropolitans 92 of the LNB Pro A, and I guess it's safe to say that he's waiting for the June drafts. He actually started out with the Nanterre 92, but then moved to Asvel, where he won a Pro A title. Afterwards, he shifted to the Metropolitans, where he had a leading role. The young champ has been named an LNB All-Star twice. That's not all. He even won an All-Star Game MVP once, and he's also a 2-time LNB Pro A Best Young Player. But hold on a sec, his accomplishments don't end here. Even though he started playing in 2019, he's already led the French national basketball team to 2 silver medals. One of these came at the 2021 FIBA Under-19 World Cup, where this guy also set the FIBA record for most blocks per game in a single tournament. Sounds like the Spurs are in for one heck of a deal. Wembanyama's 7'3" frame allows him to stand out on the court. Quite literally, I'll say. He's got a wingspan of around 8 feet, making him a real threat to his opponents. Though some experts are a bit skeptical about his larger-than-life frame. The French player has proven his worth through the exceptional mobility and skills on the court. When the guy moves, he's so smooth that you completely forget he's over 7 feet tall. At just 19 years of age, he's drawn comparisons with the likes of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Ralph Sampson. On top of that, Wembanyama is really excited about his future in the NBA. In a recent interview, he spoke about his emotions, saying, "I can't really describe it. My heart's beating. I've got everyone I love, everyone I know around me."
Can't really describe him, it's just my heart's beating. I got everyone I love, everyone I know around me. It's a really special moment I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Despite being so young, the 19-year-old knows that this is a moment that will stick with him forever. He said, "It's a really special moment I'm going to remember for the rest of my life." When talking about his performance style, the player let everyone know that he was a team player. He promised that he's going to do everything to win as many games. And get this, the player wants his competition to be aware. He also said that he's going to make a play for a ring ASAP. Well, we wouldn't expect anything less from him. The young star also said that he's just trying to bring his talents to the NBA. He also mentioned that he was really happy, and that he couldn't wait to meet the fans and the team he was going to be joining. Well, I think he's got a good sense of where he's going now, don't you think? Coming back to MJ and his failed stint as a team owner, Jordan has received quite a bit of backlash for his decisions. Even his world-famous beef with old-time buddy Charles Barkley is because of this. Chuck called him out for surrounding himself with people who were afraid to challenge his decisions. Basically, according to the player-turned-analyst, Jordan's friends were only hanging out with him because they wanted to enjoy the perks of their friendship. But when it actually came to being helpful and telling him where he was wrong, these people fell really short. And here's the deal. There's enough evidence to prove that the icon has made pretty bad decisions over the years. Even 20 years later, people still think that his picking Kwame Brown as the #1 overall pick in 2001 was the worst decision ever. I mean, you know how that turned out. Oh, and he even was behind the trading of Rip Hamilton, the player who ended up becoming a force for the Detroit Pistons. Now, let me remind you, all this happened before he bought the majority stake in the team. Here's another example of a terrible decision the legend made. He ended up trading Gerald Wallace in 2010. Let's be real, this decision at the time sort of made sense, because you see, he was trying to cut payroll. But here's the deal. Over time, it's proven to be a bad decision, and it has hurt the team quite a lot. Even a decade later, they still haven't overcome any of these losses. So I guess for Jordan, Wembanyama was somewhat of a young French knight in shining armor, who was going to come and save the team from going completely under. But that's really not how things worked out. On that note, from having a history of making terrible decisions for his team, to missing out on the hottest player of this year's draft, that was how Michael Jordan lost $500 million in 3 seconds.